For many, the name Wolf Messing is associated with extrasensory perception and telepathy. Before him, no one in history could boast of such a gift. Messing even performed publicly with his psychological experiments in reading the thoughts of the audience. But who would need predictions from some entertainment artist now if not for his amazing gift, which, paradoxically, was hidden behind these harmless performances? The thing is, Wolf Messing was born in 1899 in Warsaw, then part of the Russian Empire, and after the start of World War II in 1939, he fled to the Soviet Union. At that time, it was unknown how his fate would unfold, whether he declared himself openly chosen or gifted from above. In interviews, Messing was very cautious and tried to conceal his rare gift, attributing everything to a special technique that he supposedly mastered during his time with the Polish traveling circus. This technique was called stage telepathy. Here is what Wolf Messing himself told a journalist about his performances. "It's not mind reading but muscle reading. When a person thinks, the brain sends impulses to the body, to all the muscles of the organism. I can perceive and read these movements. It's also possible to discern a person's thoughts without direct contact with them. The frequency of breathing, heart rate, voice tone, gait, and so on are important here." And, of course, these were legends of his performances. Many people of that time actually considered Messing a professional illusionist who simply mastered the technique perfectly. Messing also refused to demonstrate his abilities and tricks outside the stage, and although there is ample evidence that he was involved in solving various crimes, archival records of investigations into these incidents had no mention of Messing. Encounters with high-ranking government officials also occurred one-on-one and in complete confidentiality, providing fertile ground for skeptics and debunkers who referred to the lack of documented materials. Many attribute autobiographical books and memoirs to Messing, which he had no connection to, and later seemed to disprove what was written in them, exposing the supposed psychic in quotation marks. Wolf Messing himself was far from a circus jester, and he did not boast at all. On the contrary, he tried to publicize his abilities less, most likely to divert attention. And what were these abilities? Along with telepathy and reading other people's thoughts, Messing mastered hypnosis, including non-contact hypnosis, and could also predict the future. Once, the Minister of Internal Affairs invited Messing to test his abilities personally. After an hour of conversation, he unexpectedly let him go, without a pass or orders. The building was strictly guarded, and the minister was absolutely sure that the newly emerged psychologist illusionist could not leave from there. But something inexplicable happened. Messing calmly passed through all the guards on the third floor, went down to the exit, and bypassed 2 more guards without showing any documents. Messing went outside and turned around. In the window on the third floor stood the angry minister with a pen in his hand. Then the politician would have torn the hypnotist to pieces, but Messing was protected from above, so the minister did not dare to touch him. The ruler was characterized by mistrust and suspicion, and Messing could transform into other people, which was very useful for the leader. While attributing entertaining biographical stories to Messing, such as meeting with Einstein or deceiving the cashier for $100,000, all these stories were unquestionable fabrications by people who had no connection to Wolf Messing. So, attributing all this, they could not even think then about how tragic the real biography of Messing was, including his youth. Messing's family was very poor, and the boy had to work hard from childhood. Until the age of 12, he helped his father in gardening, and then he joined the Cardello traveling circus, where he was hired as a cleaner. Later in this circus, he was taught to lie on boards studded with sharp nails, swallow swords, and blow fire. In the circus, Wolf lost a lot of weight, literally wasting away. Once, seeing his small dry body, the circus director said, "Now you will be a magician." lie in the coffin and pretend you're not breathing. So, for the first time, Wolf transformed into an Indian Brahmin, somewhere on the border between fiction and reality. Maybe it was at that moment, by becoming externally a different person, a magician, and chosen, that he immersed himself so deeply in the role that he acquired not only the appearance, but also the thoughts and knowledge of that person. Perhaps the extraordinary ability to transform into other people, rather than fictional circus skills, gave Wolf Messing the opportunity to have something not only on the outside, but also inside. It is also known for certain that all of Wolf's relatives, including his father and brothers, tragically perished due to their Jewish origin. Some in the Warsaw Ghetto, created during the occupation of Poland, some in Majdanek on the outskirts of the Polish city of Lublin. The only one in the family who managed to survive was Wolf, who, thanks to his amazing gift, freely crossed the borders of various countries and easily traveled on transportation without presenting any identification documents. Amazingly, in exchange for any ticket, Wolf could hand over a simple sheet of paper and not arouse any suspicions. How did he manage to do that? And if he learned this extraordinary skill along with all the other tricks in the circus, why has no one ever heard of the incredible abilities of his teachers? Indeed, it is known that he was never acquainted with Albert Einstein or Sigmund Freud, whom journalists allegedly attributed to him in attempts either to amaze the people or to expose the true nature of Messing's gift. In reality, long before becoming a famous illusionist, as a teenager, Wolf experienced a real shock. Messing's father, despotic and strict, dreamed of making his son a rabbi, a spiritual leader. Noticing in Messing's special abilities to memorize information from religious books, he resorted to deception. Messing's father hired a poor wheelchair-bound man who played the role of a messenger from heaven in front of his son. This messenger declared to Wolf that he was the chosen one, and his mission on earth was to be a mentor to souls, a spiritual master. Then Wolf recognized the poor actor and experienced a profound shock. How could his father so cunningly and deviously try to deceive him and achieve his goal at any cost? At that time, Messing decided one day never to return home, abandoned everything, and boarded the first train available. There, to avoid being noticed, he crawled under the bench. It turned out that the train was heading to Berlin. The conductor saw that the boy was trying to hide, and that instant demanded his ticket. Hating lies with all his heart, Wolf realized that now he would have to lie. And if he did it poorly, his whole life would be a continuous deception. His nerves were on edge, he was afraid like never before. Under that bench lay a piece of paper. Messing handed it to the conductor, who looked into the eyes of the young man, turned the paper in his hands, and returned it with the words, "Why did you crawl under the bench with a ticket? There are places, sit down, it's still 2 hours to Berlin." That's how Wolf discovered his abilities for the first time. In life, Messing was somewhat taciturn, which made him seem closed and even stern to many. However, Wolf often selflessly helped ordinary people when he saw that they really needed it. During the harsh wartime, many lost their relatives without a trace. Mothers lost sons and asked Wolf to help determine the whereabouts of their loved ones by examining their belongings. Once, due to his kindness, he almost gained a reputation as a charlatan. A woman brought him a letter from her son and asked him to determine whether he was alive or not. Messing read it and confidently stated that the man had died. A month later, the young man was found alive. It turned out that he couldn't write in the hospital and asked someone else to write a letter for him. Later, that person did indeed die, and Messing saw his fate exactly. Wolf Messing infallibly predicted the destinies of rulers. In the theater, in the presence of thousands of people, he predicted the fate of the German leader and the date of the end of the war. He also knew in advance the date of the death of his beloved wife, with whom he lived for 15 years and was very happy. He knew his own date of death and how it would happen. Therefore, at his last performance at the October Cinema in 1974, he seemed closed and alienated. He saw the future but couldn't change it. It's interesting, why? After all, there are widespread myths that we build our own destiny and decide for ourselves which path to take. What do you think about this? Write in the comments. The predictor tried never to openly talk about his own future, but reluctantly made predictions of global importance. However, he bore the title of Nostradamus not just for show, and many of his records about the future have reached our time. As Wolf Messing mentioned, the US and China should be feared, as from the beginning of the 21st century, these countries will only bring trouble to the world. And the whole world will feel it on itself. That's what happened. The seemingly harmless China surprised the entire planet, becoming the cause of events in which we are now living. And what did he mean by troubles from the US for the whole world? By the way, for many years, according to international surveys, the majority of Earth's inhabitants consider the United States the main danger to all of humanity. At the end of 2013, still during Barack Obama's time, 67,000 respondents from 65 countries were surveyed, and 25% of them stated that the United States was the greatest global threat to peace. 28% mentioned Russia, and 15% mentioned China. 3 years later, 35% of the world's population considered the US a threat, and now it's even more. What do you think about this? Write in the comments. Wolf Messing also noted that the year 2020 would mark the beginning of revolutionary movements, and they would occur in many countries around the world. Previously, it was difficult to imagine such a thing, but now, with the spiritual and economic crisis everywhere, it looks more like not fiction but future reality. Wolf claimed that the world had 2 falls and 2 dawns ahead, but unfortunately, he did not indicate the order of these events. He also spoke of the overthrow of dictators and a global cleaning of political ranks by replacing politicians with real patriots who would then build good diplomatic relations among themselves, leading to a world order. But, of course, this will not happen in an instant, and it will be preceded by discord and disagreements. Much will be influenced by the distribution of the Earth's resources between countries. When natural resources are distributed, the promised peace and order, lasting for a whole 100 years, will come. What place in history will be given to the US, Russia, and China in this scenario? Again, we encounter predictions where the US is involved. Messing claimed that the US would openly initiate conflicts with Russia, and attempts by the country to peacefully resolve differences would be perceived as weakness. Perhaps it's not the time to think about it now, as more important tasks are facing all the inhabitants of the Earth. But nevertheless, another prediction by Messing that still seems surprising to many is that in 2024, a new leader will emerge in the country who will lead it in the right direction. It's interesting, who will it be? And is it possible that it will be the same person? Such an assumption seems quite strange now. How to reconcile that? New and at the same time the same? That's all for today, friends. Until next time.